Here are the craziest and most insane football boot facts to blow your mind. Make sure to listen through and vote in our poll cards throughout the video. The first ever football boot was worn by King Henry VIII, no, not the Arsenal legend, back in, wait for it, 1526. Made by his personal shoemaker at a cost of 4 shillings, which is the equivalent of roughly £100. Boots in the early 1900s were horrific. When it rained, the boots would triple the weight of up to 1 kg each, and everyone would look like Per Mertesacker at full speed. The name of the brand Adidas originated from Adolf Dassler's name, which was Addy and the first 3 letters of his surname. About 5 years later, Adidas created their first football boot named the Argentina, worn by Fritz Walter in 1954. It had a leather upper and moldy nail studs and weighed 436 grams. The best-selling boot of all time is the Copa Mundial by Adidas, headlined by big stars such as Beckenbauer, Mateus and Baresi at the 1974, 78 and 82 World Cups, and it was also the first football boot to feature a fold-over tongue. Nike's first ever football boot, which featured their iconic swoosh logo, was in 1971, and it raised several question marks of copyright as it looked exactly like a Copa Mundial featuring moldy studs and a leather upper. Pele in the 1970 World Cup final against Italy cheekily asked the ref if he could tie his shoelaces before kickoff, in which all the cameras panned down to his boots, which happened to be Puma Kings. It was the first sign of marketing by any brand. 1970 was also the year we saw the first boot which was not black. Worn by Everton's Alan Ball in the 1970 Charity Shield match, we saw a white boot made by Hummel in which the commentator referred to Ball as Twinkle Toes. In 2007, Nike bought Umbro for roughly $582 million. However, Umbro rebuilt in the 2000s and has established themselves as one of the top football sportswear brands in 2017. The first ever video to hit 1 million views on YouTube featured Ronaldinho in a Nike advert for his signature Nike Air Tempo white gold boots. The video saw the Ballon d'Or winner hit the crossbar from outside the box without the ball touching the ground. Fake or real, it was a hit. And in the poll card now, who is your favourite footballer out of these 3? Ronaldinho, Zidane or Thierry Henry? Vote in the poll card now. 7 of the lightest boots ever have been made by Puma. The German brand entered the speed game in the 2000s, creating some insanely light boots including the V1 series, which was very popular. However, the lightest boot of all time was in fact made by Adidas. It was dubbed the Adizero 99 grams, released in 2015. Never to be released to the public, it definitely raised concerns of durability, but come on, 99 grams, even Michael Carrick could lace up these boots and be quicker. The most number of colorways for any given generation was Mercurial Superfly 4 by Nike, featuring over 25 different colorways between 2014 and 2016, which included CR7 versions as well. By far the worst feature of any football boot was, wait for it, the Glory Hole. Warriors Sports named the hole in the heel of their gambler silo the Glory Hole. Simply outrageous. And speaking of Warriors Sports, they had a short-lived career in the football boot market as they offered 3 boot ranges, the Screamer, Gambler and Superheat between 2012 and 2014. When Fellaini is the headline athlete, I can see why the brand struggled. The first ever football boot which featured a sock was dubbed the PrimeNet FS by Adidas. It featured a super high sock design and was released a few hours before Nike released their first collared boot, the Magista Obra. Offering the Laces 18 Plus and Laced 18.1 versions to the public, Adidas also provide a specific leather versions just for the professionals. The likes of Nemanja Matic, Mats Hummels and Nacho were used by Adidas in their marketing campaign for the 18 Plus. However, Adidas sneakily offered this unique K-leather version for the players that want them. And in the poll card now, vote whether you would want the leather version for yourself. Nike's most innovative upper technology of all time, that being Flyknit, debuted back in 2012 on their Flyknit Racer shoe, but it was 2 years later when the Big Swoosh first used it on a pair of full boots, that being the Magista Obra. Bakary Sako once had a custom boot made for him which had Swarovski crystals on it. These were made to match his club colours of when he was at Wolves, featuring a big wolf crest on the side of the boot. Simply outrageous. Surely there's a future for limited edition boots to feature crystals. Did you know that the lowest entry level ranges are more than likely exactly the same? For example, on Adidas's current lineup of 0.4 cleats, they use all the same sole plate and all the uppers are exactly the same, but they're just made to mimic the elite silos. Cheeky but very effective. I don't know what was happening at Puma headquarters, but one day they came up with this. This is an entry-level Evopo featuring a fake hair mohawk inspired by, yes, you guessed it, Mario Balotelli. I don't know how many they sold, but the brand also made this to match the boots. Unbelievable. Adidas dropped their F50 Adizero 3 370 pair for Messi, becoming the club's all-time goal scorer in March 2014, 5 months after the Adizero 4 was released. Adidas predicted he'd get the goals much sooner, but Messi suffered a long-term injury in that period, so the 3 stripes had to make do by releasing it late. Arguably the worst colorway release of 2016 and possibly the decade was this by Puma. I think we can all agree that pink and yellow are in most cases too bold for most people's likings, and the German brand applied their tricks theme, making one all pink and one all yellow. Horrific. In 2015, Adidas launched the Ace 15.1, which opted for a sole put with weight for it 45 studs, and it was called Total Control. No, this was no specific AG version. This sole plate was aimed at mastering underfoot control. What a load of The first ever laceless football boot was made by Lotto in the form of the Zero Gravity 100 back in 2006. The worst thing about these boots was the upper. It was stiff and too hard to break in. Adidas nailed this concept in 2016. Back in 2015, Neymar headlined the Hybrid Phantom 2 Silo, featuring in callous advertising campaigns, but did he actually wear those boots? Simple answer is no, he actually wore a pair of Vapor 10 boots disguised as Hypervitums. Adidas once created Y3 Yamamoto F50.6 tunics, which were released in cages. Why? Because they were animal themed. And in the poll card now, vote on your favorite design: the tiger, the wolf, the eagle, or the dragon. In 2015, Puma released a boot which was just 103 grams, dubbed the EvoSpeed SL, but the thing is, it would only survive 10 matches. Available at £160 at full retail, this would be the equivalent to 16 quid a match. Absolutely disgraceful. One of the best limited edition boots ever was this. It was a gold version of the popular Predator Mania, released for Zidane in 2003 to celebrate him winning the FIFA World Player of the Year award in 2003. The worst thing was, you could not buy these. Such a shame. Nike back in 2016 created a boot to look like wine. Yes, it featured a maroon wine-themed design with a cork sock liner. Yes, a cork sock liner. It was made for Andrea Pirlo, who had a passion for wine. Back in 2016, Nike launched their Opus 2, which had an upper which was too stiff, thick, and cheap. Several months later, Nike switched uppers mid-generation to a softer upper. It still amazes me of how a massive brand like Nike can still get it wrong with their high-performance sports equipment. When the Hybrid Phantom 2 was released in 2015, the upper was again way too stiff. Nike ended up reverting back to the original Nike Skin synthetic used on the first gen several months later. In 2017, Joma decided to join the collar game by revealing this, the Champion Max. A boot which was a complete joke, and I don't expect many sales would have come from this for Joma. A complete Superfly ripoff. Professional footballers wear completely different boots to what they advertise. For example, when Adidas launched their Messi 16 Plus Silo in 2016, they had Messi holding the Pure Agility cleats when in fact he actually wore the Messi 16.1 Silo on his feet, which is on paper a completely different boot. False advertising at its best. And as well as that, pro footballers wear their own custom molds and fits. Someone like Harry Kane gets his Hypervitums custom made in the Montebelluna factory in Italy, and we presume most footballers have the same treatment. A brand named Serafina once launched a boot for toe poking. Honestly, no lie, it was called the Fourth Edge and had a reinforced rubber panel at the front for toe poking. And in the poll card now, would you rather have 10 pairs of Fourth Edge boots or 1 pair of Superfly? Vote now. In 2012, Nike launched their Green Speed Silo, which was made up of recycled materials including plastic bottles and castor beans. In 2014, Adidas dropped their Battle Pack, and to much amazement, they were designed to look like Amazonian animals such as an alligator and an armadillo. To avoid blister problems, Felipe Coutinho in 2017 cut a square hole on his Vapor 11s. I can't imagine these being very waterproof. Toni Kroos still wears the 11 Pro 2, launched back in, wait for it, 2011. That's 6 years ago. Potentially he does not like the current crop of leather boots from Adidas. The Ace 17 Plus Pure Control Launch Edition was completely different to the following colorways. They did a Nike and ended up switching uppers just after one colorway. From 2015 to 2016, Adidas labeled some of their FG boots as AG as well, meaning they could be used on both surfaces. However, in most cases they weren't AG at all, featuring the same stud systems as standard FG pairs. The first signature football boot ever was the Mercurial R9 for Ronaldo back in 1998 for the World Cup. Unknown brand Zygo released a boot named the Destruct, which had suction cups for ultimate grip on the ball. A Predator ripoff, it looked more like an octopus than a football boot, a complete fail. When the Mercurial Superfly 1 boot was released in 2009, pros had serious problems with durability. Players like Drogba, Luis Fabiano and Arshavin were wearing them and they literally blew up on the pitch. They weren't very durable at all. When Nike dropped the tongue on their Tiempo legend, big Nike headline athlete Francesco Totti insisted his Tiempo had a tongue. Nike ended up making a tongue gold version for him in 2016 for the Tiempo Legend 6. Lacking any ideas and innovation, Under Armour did something different to their Spotlight Pro in 2017. They added a zip. Yes, a zip. It's up there as one of the worst features on a boot of all time. In 2016, Adidas released all boots under a space theme. First up was the Mercury pack for the Euros, then Speed of Light, Stellar, Dark Space, Space Dust, Spacecraft, and Kryptonite. And in 2017, Adidas did the same but with Storm, Dust Storm, Magnetic Storm, Ocean Storm, Thunderstorm, Earth Storm, and Pyro Storm. In 2017, Nike launched their Fire and Ice collection, which meant clubs had to choose between red or blue boots. Obviously, all the red clubs such as Manchester United, Barcelona, and Liverpool chose fire, and blue teams such as Real Madrid, Chelsea, and City chose blue. And in the last poll card, can you vote on whether you want to see more facts videos like these in the future? So that's it. Well done for those of you who lasted the entire video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, we'll see you next time.